All right, day number 2 at the Rogue Invitational. Update that I did not put on day 1 is that I moved beds before the Rogue Invitational actually started because of the spring mattresses that I was sleeping on for 2 nights in a row, and it ruined my back. Luckily, my mom in the rental house that she was in had another room, but it was bunk beds. And it wasn't adult-sized bunk beds, it was child-sized bunk beds, but luckily I'm pretty short, I'm 5'4", or average, I would say I'm average height. So I slept in a child-sized bunk bed for the rest of my time in Texas. So that was fun. Not only that, but I was on the top bunk because there was a bottom, but the mattress was still pretty soft, and I just can't do soft mattresses whatsoever. And the top one was a little bit firmer, so we had to go with the top bunk. So that was fun. That was entertaining. So anyways, that was an update on that. Anyways, so back to day 2. Day 2 was 2 different workouts that we did. One was called Seat at the Bar, which was 15, 10, 5 log muscle ups, and then 5, 5, 5 back squats at 260. So once again, we didn't know any of these workouts until 2 days before the competition started. I knew in the back of my mind that the Rogue Invitational is usually pretty heavy, so there was a high chance that I was going to have to take a knee on some of the workouts and maybe stand there, maybe not do them. I was actually worried at the CrossFit Games this year that I was going to have to do that, but luckily, somehow, some way, I didn't have to sit on any of the workouts or just stand there. So I was very grateful for that. But Rogue was a little bit different. I told my coach Perrin that I was like, if there's 4+ workouts that I'm gonna have to stand there with, then I'm probably just gonna pull out because it doesn't really make sense. But there ended up being 3, of course. So I did the workouts. So this was the first of 3 workouts that I couldn't really do, had to stand there on it. It sucked, but I think the blessing about all of it is that it allowed me to kind of share more of my story because, yes, I think a lot of people know that I have back issues, which I know there was a comment on my last video of what exactly is wrong with it. It's something that I've dealt with since I was 12 years old from gymnastics. I feel like a lot of gymnasts either get burnt out or have back issues, and so I was one of the victims of back issues. And it's not anything crazy. It's just bulging discs in my L4 and L5. I've had it since I was 12 and I'm now 30. There's just a lot of osteophytes that have formed because my discs have stayed out for so long. I have arthritis up and down my spine. So it's not very uncommon. I feel like if you look at 100 people's backs on an MRI, they're gonna have bulging discs of some form or fashion. But mine just get really aggravated, and once they get aggravated, they take their time to heal up and feel better. So I've dealt with it with my whole CrossFit career and even before that. And like I said in my other video, I've never gone into the CrossFit Games without feeling injured, or I've never had an experience going to the CrossFit Games where I felt healthy. Let's just put it that way. I've always been out for 6 to 8 weeks at a time during the season because my back just flares up. And yes, I've tried everything. Trust me, I've had this since I was 12. I'm 30. I've been through it all. I've even tried doing epidurals and steroid shots in my back and no relief whatsoever. We've done acupuncture, physical therapy. So we've done it all. We've done it all. Nothing that can be fixed really surgically, which I highly recommend if you have bulging discs not to do anything surgically because it's just going to put a Band-Aid over it, or that's just my thoughts on it. It will come back because it's not the disc that you need to shave off. It's the articular wall that the disc is in that's weak. So unless you're going to do spinal fusions, which I am not going to do, then I highly recommend that the doctors that are telling you to get surgery for bulging discs to shave off the disc, it's not going to fix the problem. It's going to delay and put a Band-Aid on things. So I know there's other things out there, but I'm not willing to put myself in a situation where surgically I have to go under to possibly feel better. I just don't think that personally for me, I want to do that. I have found some relief this year for the first time ever with a doctor that's here in Pasadena, California. His name is Dr. Loke. If you go onto my Instagram page, I usually tag him in things all the time. And he's the first doctor out of all the doctors I've worked with where I feel like the livelihood of my back and my body is actually changing. It takes a lot of work on my part, but he does a lot of PRI stuff, which you can look up, but it's basically just about your rib cage and your breathing. It's not a one size fits all, and he doesn't put himself in a box of just PRI, which I appreciate. I think when doctors just put themselves in a box and they're saying this will do the job and this will fix you, you can't trust them. So that's what my journey has been like, of people telling me and doctors guaranteeing that they can fix me and then sending me off to another doctor because 6 weeks later they can't, or a year later they can't. So I like this doctor that I'm working with right now because, he just doesn't put himself in a box. He knows that everyone's back is different and body is different, so different things are going to work for them. And he actually gives you not just the normal, dead bug and plank and side plank, that'll do the job. Like, that stuff is helpful, yes, to a certain extent, but when you have chronic back pain for over 15 years, that's not going to do the job and it's not going to cut it. And once again, I think it's a Band-Aid. So the doctor I'm working with, he does very specific things, and it takes a lot of effort on my part. It's not manual work that he does on me. It's homework that he gives me, and it's up to me to do as much or as little as I want to see a difference. So he's gotten me to a point where it's not like I'm fixed 100%, but he's instilling confidence in me that I can at least lower my back pain scale when I am in pain, or it does go out on me. It's not the end of the world like it used to be, and I'm not crippled. And I've had chances throughout this whole season to kind of put that into place and to try it out, and it's worked. Like during quarterfinals this year, it was the same story. My back went out on me. After the second day, I was in crippling pain and I could barely move, thinking that I was going to have to pull out of the whole competition. And with the exercises that he gave me, on top of other things, I think there's a lot of variables that go into it, but I think some of the exercises he's given me allow me to get out of pain. And that was the first time ever where I went from crippling back pain to not being able to move, crying that I was going to have to pull out of quarterfinals, to the next day being able to manage the pain and get through the last workout. So it's been like that throughout the whole year, which I'm very grateful for. And like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but it's working for me specifically. So I'm going to continue down this path that I'm in. So back to the Rogue Invitational. Well, I guess to my back going out on me a couple days before the Rogue Invitational from the spring mattress, I was able to put into place not only the mindset tools of like, okay, it's not the end of the world, but also the exercises that he's given me to get me to a place where I could compete for the whole weekend and lower my pain scale, which I was really grateful for. With the seat at the bar, I knew that this is a workout that I was not going to do, and I was going to have to just stand there. Luckily, I was able to at least do the log muscle ups, 15 of them, which I had never done before, never practiced on them. So that was a lot of fun. I wish I would have been able to do the workout fully, but I just tried to make the most of it. It sucked, obviously, as a competitor to stand there and not be able to do a workout, but I felt a lot of peace being out there, and I had my whole family there, and I'm from Austin, Texas, so I felt like I had the hometown crowd out there rooting me on. And I just tried to make the most of it. I made it fun, and I tried to not be a victim of my situation, because no one wants to see someone having a pity party out there for themselves. Like, it's uncomfortable, right? So I just tried to be silly out there. Still be respectable, but like be silly, have fun, flex out there. I squatted with just the bar, My judge was very confused. He didn't know that I was not going to squat the 260 bar. So I started pulling off weights, and the head judge had to come over and tell him that it was okay. So that was interesting. But yeah, I just had to stand there, and it was okay. And I was at peace about it. So I was grateful for just like my headspace and where I've come from. Like, I don't think that I would be able to react and respond like that a couple of years ago. So that tells me in itself that there's been a lot of growth, and I'm grateful for just all the mindset stuff that I'm doing and growth that I'm doing on myself, and it's paying off for moments like this. The second workout was called the circus. It was 3 rounds for time of 32 cal ski, 5 fat dumbbells, like this huge silver dumbbell from Rogue, shoulder to overhead at 70 pounds. And then monkey bar traverse. That was, I think, 75 feet down, 75 feet back. It was raining during the event, so because of that, we didn't have to at first. I think the monkey bars were supposed to be unbroken, like down unbroken, back unbroken, but it was very wet out there. Think of like a cold water bottle that you get out of the cooler, and you're just trying to hang on to that, and your hands are just slipping. And everyone ripped their hands on that, but a handful of people, and I was one of them, thank goodness. I think I only came out with like a blood blister. It was barely anything. So I was grateful for not ripping. I was happy with my placement on that. It was one of those workouts that I could do, but obviously not pushed to 100%. I think the only regret that I have on that workout is the monkey bars and doing them the way that I did, because it was super slow, and something that if I do the Rogue Invitational again, I need to work on some monkey bars apparently, because I was going 1 hand or 2 hands per bar, and it was just super slow. I think the first round I did try to go 1 hand per bar, but it just didn't feel comfortable, and so my intuition and gut was just saying, just do what you're comfortable with. Even if it's slower, just do it because that's what you're used to. So something to definitely work on, because that could have helped me with some placements for sure, I think. The ski erg, I was happy with how it went. All year, the ski erg and all the monostructural things like the rowing, even the bike erg, echo bike, my back has not liked having any intensity on it. So I've had to go at like a 0 damper and just do what I can on it throughout the year. But luckily in this last training block between the games and Rogue, I was able to like pull the damper up a little bit and have some intensity. So I was able to kind of show my normal self out there with the ski erg, and I was holding like, I think around 1200 or 1300. And so I was happy with that. And of course, being pain-free the entire time, I was very grateful for that. And then with the shoulder to overhead, I knew that I was capable of doing it. It was just that this last year, I've maybe touched that weight 3 or 4 times, and definitely not in a workout whatsoever, because my back just can't handle all of that right now. So I was like, well, I think I can do it, but you just never know until you're out on the floor, especially if you haven't touched something in a long time. But ended up being fine, which I was grateful for. So yeah, I think my consensus on that workout was I was happy with my placement. I think it was like a top 10 placement. But I wish I would have done the monkey bars a lot different and just moved a little bit more with some like confidence. And I think I said that in my last video. It's something that I want to work on going forward into the 2024 season, is just moving more with purpose and confidence, and like trusting the adrenaline when I'm out there. I don't think that I do that, and so I just look like a snail out there most of the time. So that's something that I would like to work on, especially with the workouts that I feel a little bit more confident in. Even if I'm not at 100%, it's like trust the adrenaline will take you and the crowd will kind of help you. But yeah, it was a fun day. I'm glad my back held up. I'm glad I made the decision to not squat or even attempt that, because I haven't done a squat over 200 pounds in like 2 years now. So I wasn't about to go out there and try to squat 260 pounds on the floor when I haven't even come close to that. I think that would have just been very disrespectful to my body, and just stupid on my part, and I don't think that would have set me up for success for the 2024 season. So that was my goal all year long, was make smart decisions that you're not in a hole when you get done with a competition and you're not in pain for like 6 to 8 weeks, because I need all the time I can get feeling good and training during the off season to get ready for this next season. Because I mean, we're already at middle of November and the season starts February. Like, we don't have a lot of time off. And so if I would have come out of the Rogue Invitational in pain, that would have been a huge no-no and a big hiccup. So it sucked to have to go out there and do that, but it was the right decision. So that is my recap for day 2.